am Mama Gina, and hanging out today with my very dear friend and sometimes roadmate, because we have done a whole bunch of festivals together, and been on stage together and played together, and I just love her from the bottom of my heart. It's Ginger Ackley. Hey, Ginger, how you doing? Beautiful.
Doing great, doing great. The snow's melting.
Yay! Do you think there's more on the way?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Sounds like there's a couple of days, but I can smell spring in the air. So
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm in Florida and everybody's jealous of the weather, so I'm not even talking about it anymore.
I've lived in Florida. I know the weather.
So, I'm so grateful that you agreed to chat with me today. I've been exploring more of my own creative process, and I'm so curious about other people's creative process because mine sometimes it looks like I'm insane. Sometimes I'm making sausage and ain't nobody want to see that. You know what I'm talking about.
I know
Um,
exactly.
and sometimes I look so inspired and, I look like I have a halo around me. That's the rare moment. But I'm curious what you go through. I mean, what does your creative process feel like from the inside for you?
First of all, I've got to say I've seen you in all of those phases.
The making sausage face especially.
Yeah. I'm thinking about a backseat experience driving to West Virginia.
Where I'm trying not to throw up in the back of your car because I was car sick. I wasn't telling you that, but I'm sure if you looked back, you saw I was green back there. Those mountains in West Virginia,
Oh,
man, they get me
that was
every
something.
time.
That was something, but that definitely got your creative juices going.
It did indeed.
um, Donovan, Donovan, my husband, has come to recognize a particular look when the muse takes over. And I've realized, especially in the last few months, that I belong to the muse. I, hands down. And I have come to realize that it is the muse Euterpe who is my patroness, I guess. Um, but she, you talk about, people thinking you're loony. People would, they would feel that about, they do feel that about me sometimes. I get this look on my face, and apparently it's really strange, and I kind of go away. And thank goodness I've got a Donovan to watch after me when that happens, because I have no awareness of time or space. I don't remember to eat or drink or do any of the natural bodily stuff. I just keep going. And I just might start at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at 10 o'clock he comes, are you aware it's 10 o'clock at night? So it's just,
Yeah.
and sometimes, sometimes like, I was driving to a physical therapy appointment,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt this huge wave of sadness come over me. And I recognized that it wasn't mine. A long, long time ago, when I first realized I was an empath, I made an agreement kind of with the goddess that if there were people that had more sadness than they can handle, that once I learned how to ground, that I would take a portion of that sadness and ground it for them so that maybe they could handle what was left. This was one of those moments. And oh, it was, I mean, definitely COVID related. I could feel that very strongly. And kind of at the same time, she poured this song into my head. And it's become a little ritual on my program in Chantica. And the process is that instead of pushing away a negative emotion, I welcome it in. And more so, I consciously hold it in my heart. And then I honor it, and then I ground it. I let it go back to the earth. And so very strongly, the words came, Sacred Mother, I feel a sadness. I hold this sadness in my heart. Holy Mother, I make it sacred. I lay it on the earth. And that's it's become so automatic for me now that it just, I feel those negative emotions and I just go through that ritual and I can feel it just flowing through me.
Wow.
So if you want to call that a process, it's been kind of an agreement, a cooperation with spirit, that I kind of keep my head open and they just keep pouring stuff in. And then it's my job to write it down and to massage it, smooth it out, and to deliver it to the world. I guess that's a process.
That's a process, man. That. I have so many questions. That is, you say all of that so well, which you explain it all so well that it lets me know that you've been doing this for a very long time because you've had time to process the process and understand what to do with the things that happen and how to move them forward into the physical realm. And I think that some creatives don't know what to do with that, but you accept that you're a channel, you accept the things that you've agreed to accept,
Yeah.
and then you know what to do with them, which that's amazing to me. That's, I'm blown away. That's a
I
beautiful
stopped
process.
fighting. I stopped fighting. I
Gotcha.
stopped resisting. I stopped questioning myself. Once I accepted that this was something outside of me, that this was something from spirit, something from God and Goddess, because I mean, sometimes it's a God that comes through. Um, then things were smoothed out. And over on Zell, and I talked, and he mentioned that he wanted me to aspect a goddess at some point for one of his upcoming programs. And I went, oh wow, well, what goddess? What am I supposed to do? That's when Euterpe came in. I went, not,
Ah,
not, not. Hey, I'm here. I've always been here. And I went, oh, aspecting is it's a serious business. It can be scary, and well, Melissa Anderson.
yep,
And I told her, and she says, oh, honey, just relax. She said, you've been doing that for ages and you don't even hiccup over it.
that's
She
right.
said, think about when you're doing your pixie. What is it like when you do your pixie? And I go, well, when I'm Posy the flower pixie, you're right. I can run, I can jump, I can bend, I can get back up without assistance. And I think different thoughts. She says, that's aspecting.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it with your eyes closed. And I went, oh, okay.
Yeah,
It is a serious business. And now I realize why it has been a challenge to come down from that. And so I know better now what to do when that happens.
right.
But this sort of thing, when I look back in retrospect, it has been going on most of my life. I just didn't have the words to put to it. And I can verbalize it now because people like you have asked me questions that made me ask myself questions,
Right.
so that now I can verbalize it, trying not to sound too cuckoo. But that's that's part of magic, right? It's
It
part of magic.
is. And creativity is just pure magic. It's funny.
Totally.
I can't tell you how many people I've talked to about this process in the last few weeks, and almost to a person, they say, "I try not to talk to people who roll their eyes at me about this stuff." Um because if you've never done it, you don't get it. And if
Right.
you've done it, you've probably been doing it for your whole life and you just grew into understanding it and being able to um, refine your creations better as you grew, as your talents and your I mean, one of the things that I have struggled with over the years is that I can I can be inspired by all kinds of things. I can have gods and goddesses and all this stuff talk to me, step through me. But if the hands aren't good enough to play the thing, if my mindset is not aligned with that specific energy,
Right.
I'm still not capable of creating the thing fully.
I've found when that happens, like if there's a family kerfuffle going on, or some lots of stuff going on, they will say, okay, we're downloading the information, and it'll sit, and then there will be something else, some other situation, a quiet time, or a bird flies by the window, or leaves fall or something, and all of a sudden it calls that into being.
Yes.
And so I'll often just write just a whole page of apparently disconnected words, and then that's just kind of solidifying the download. And then one day I'll run across that page again and go, oh, that's what they were saying. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, I know you do, and thank goodness I'm not alone.
We are not alone. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this series of interviews with my creative friends, because I think sometimes we do feel like we're in isolation, and especially in the last year and change, where we really are in isolation and we're not even physically around each other on the
Yeah,
road to see each other going through this process. You know, it's been very isolating. It's been a great time of growth for a lot of us,
oh
I
yeah,
think. I can't tell you how many CDs I know are in the works from almost everybody, every musician I know. I know authors who are in the midst of writing books that they're getting ready to release. I've been watching my friends that do physical art, like paintings and sculptures and
it's
wearable
amazing.
art. It's booming and it's blooming, and I'm so excited by this. But I think that we've been doing this in isolation a little bit longer than we've been accustomed to.
Which may not be a totally bad thing, and think,
Right.
I'm looking forward to when things start opening up, and all of this that's been burgeoning inside the isolation bubble starts coming out.
Yeah.
I think
Holy
it's going to
hell. It's
make
going
a
to be crazy.
huge difference in the world. Early on, actually, I think it was just before the pandemic really hit, I wrote a song called Aquarius is Calling.
Yeah.
And it's sort of, it's mentioning that and acknowledging that we are coming into the age of Aquarius. And what fools were we that we thought it was going to be all flower children and hippies and light and that sort of stuff. Coming into a new age is like being born. It's not a comfortable process.
Mm-mm.
Some things have to go away. Some things have to come in, and a lot of times there's that's a lot of friction. So it's all part of it. But I'm seeing so many positive things, so many good things, so many creative things, so many human things, the good human things that are coming up, and they're underneath, and they're getting ready to come up like an amaryllis, boom, you know.
I
So
agree. I agree. I
so
think that's so gorgeous.
I mean,
Hey,
some of us
let's.
are just crocus, but
It's all good.
it's
Listen,
all good.
I
It's all
know.
good.
Tell me about um Enchantica, because I know that you've been doing this now for a while. Tell people what it is and why you were inspired to do it, and what you've gone through creatively as it's progressed.
Wow, that's a story. Enchantica started. We've got a wonderful little witch shop up here called the New Moon,
Mm-hmm.
and Dawn and Bob Bartos run it, and it's amazing. It's a shop run by solitaries, not a coven thing. It's amazing. Um, at one point, when it was fairly new, I went to Dawn and I said, there's a community being built here. I'm coming from the place of music, from a bard's place. What if we started a meeting of the circle of people that were interested in music to try to build that? And I told her the story of PSG, the PSG that flooded so badly.
Yeah.
And during the whole time where things were going crazy and people were being rescued and pulled out of the river and stuff, and worried about what the next days were going to bring, there was this camp over to the left from where I was called Enchant Camp.
Yes.
And they kept that chant going 24/7, and they just kept that energy being lifted up and lifted up. And I saw what music can do for a community. So I told her that story, and I said, "Why, let's do something for our community like that." And she said, "Oh, that's a great idea. You got it." Of course, I knew I would. Um, so we started once a month, and it was like 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months. And, 3 people would come, 5 people would come, 6 people would come, and it wasn't a big group that came, but it was different people that brought different stuff. We had people from all different spiritual walks, which was
Nice.
really cool. And I would talk about how music, in popular music and in our culture, how chant is actually part of that, citing things like We Are the Champions and Enigma and some of the other
Yeah.
popular culture stuff. And I would encourage them to start doing their own chants, and we would do shakers and rattles and drums, and everybody loved it. Well, the pandemic hit, things got closed, and it was right on that Wednesday that I was supposed to be there at the shop. And so I was bummed. I can't do it, can't leave. And so Dawn calls me up about an hour and a half before I would have been at the shop. And she says, "Why don't you just take it online?" Right. How? She says, "Oh, Facebook Live, you can do that." I went, "I have no idea, but I'll try." And no idea how to go from one format to the next. But that first time, we had over 1,000 views.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
the second time we had like 1,800 views, because the video stayed there and people were able to come back into it. We don't have that many views now, but what I've noticed is that we've got a lot more people that are gathering together, families and friends that are gathering to go through
Right.
Enchantica each week. So I've done it every week for a year now. And it's changed format. I started out, and I keep singing about the elements, keeping us grounded, keeping us connected to spirit. So we go through all the elements, and then spirit, and then we bring all of them together. And as I've gone through, again, I get the goddess feed, the muse feed. And so she's given me a suite. It starts with Stardust, which is a little creation myth. In the empty space of time, the goddess called unto her, and in her hand was cosmic sand, in her hand was stardust. And she whispered air, and softly there was stirring in the dark. She whispered fire, and the dust flew higher. It was stirring in the dark. She whispered water. Steam grew hotter. It was stirring in the dark. She whispered earth, and life began. So that's the way we start Enchantica now. And then we go through a couple of chants. Some of the chants come from old school pagan stuff. Some of the chants are new ones that I've written. A lot of the older ones come talking about the air without and the fire without, and the ones that I've been sent deal more with the air, with the fire within, feeling the earth through your feet, and just swimming in the water and calling water to you. And I've incorporated some Native American chants in it, and apparently I'm pulling the right ones because people are saying, "Yep, I sing this with my little girl, and she's right here. We're singing it together. We're singing in harmony." And
Wow.
so often this is what I needed to hear so much. And my friend is sick with COVID. Can we sing a healing chant? I've been given several really, really powerful healing chants recently. And it's like spirit knows what's going to be needed next week.
So, wow, I am blown away by all of this, and it brings up a couple of things. You know, you're getting some really great feedback on the chants that you're writing, and the circle that you've created online. This community, this chant community that you've been doing every week for a year. I mean, that's just amazing to me. That's a huge commitment to community.
Can you
And
imagine what it's going to be when festivals start up again?
right.
Everyone's going to know the words, you're going to know the harmonies.
Right. I mean, that's
Oh,
just so huge.
I can't wait.
So here's the other side of that equation, because I love it when I create something and people connect with it. Would you be writing like this and creating like this if there was nobody on the other side?
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
would. Maybe not as much. Maybe not as much. I think when you lost me, I was just telling you that the it seems like the energy that's going to be needed for the next week, if there's something special, I'm sent something special for that. And
Yeah.
every time it happens, there is somebody that says, I don't know how you knew to say that, but that's exactly what I needed to hear. And it's just, I'm completely blown away, just completely blown away. I sang one song, and one of the people that I didn't know them, that they had just tuned in from seeing it on a group, um, asked if they could use that track, if I could send them a track of that so they could use it for a friend that was dying for their funeral.
Oh, how
And,
beautiful.
that it helped ease that pain. Um, it's, I just, I'm blown away every week. And I feel, about this big, and so happy to be just this big because of this beautiful stuff that comes in, and that somehow I've been chosen to be a conduit for that.
Yeah.
I am happy to be a mote of dust. you know,
Right?
really and truly. You understand that,
I do.
and it is so good to be able to say that to someone who understands it viscerally.
Yeah. Yeah. I learned a long time ago that saying I'm not going to be a musician anymore is not an option.
Mm,
Saying that I'm not going to sing anymore is definitely not an option. Um, I I went through some severe depression many years ago, and I didn't sing a note for about 2 years. Um, and it was part of my depression, but it was also the only way out of my depression was to start singing again, even though I didn't want to. I
yes,
didn't I didn't have the energy to do it. I didn't want to. I mean, this was when Jesse was born. And before Jesse was born and when Jesse was born, I didn't sing to him for the first 6 months of his life. Not a lullaby. I couldn't. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't do it. And I finally came to the realization that the only way through my depression was to do something that brought me joy, even if I didn't feel like doing it because it was too much effort. And
yeah,
when I finally crawled out of that, it took about a year, but when I finally crawled out of that, and I forced myself to sing, um, and reconnect with that, and it took a lot of efforts, you know? The
yep,
divine is always here, but if we wall ourselves in so hard that we can't feel it anymore, it takes an awful lot of effort to break through. And I didn't create during that time period. I mean, I made a baby, but yeah, that's a big deal. But you know what I'm talking about, to
I
create
know
these
exactly.
things, that this freeform energy that flows through, that appears to come from some kind of divine source. And yeah, I mean, I learned that not doing this is not an option, no matter how crazy I look to the rest of the world.
Right. But I would point out that there is a very important word in that process that you've gone through, that I've gone through. and I've noted it not only in my musical progress, but in my magical spiritual progress too. And that word is fallow. You do
Yes,
not plant a field every season. And if
I
you
agree so
so you
much.
have we have to go through the fallow times. We have to go through the depression, or else we can't be clear enough. We won't have as much of a reason, I think. We learn so much in those times of fallow.
I
Um,
agree.
so it's nothing that you need to kick yourself about once you understand that it is part of the divine process. And
Yeah.
and then I guess now there was a time when I would worry about shields and shielding myself correctly and trying to figure that out. And at one point, oh, about a year and a half ago, something clicked and I went down, and all of a sudden I felt like a flowing out and a flowing in and a solidifying. And it was like, it got figured out. I'm shielded, period. Yeah, I can walk through just about anything now. And anything bad's just going to bounce off. But it took me coming to a point of letting go of everything and realizing that it wasn't me. And
Right.
then boom. So these fallow times lead to something like that spiritually and creatively. So that now, having gone through it more than once, because you don't always get it the first time,
Right.
having gone through it, I know that I leave that channel open. And if I'm hit with the sadness, if I'm hit with the fear, if I'm hit with the loneliness, I know I can ground it. I know I can make it sacred. And that was like the shields coming together and being permanent. That knowledge is always with me now, so I can just go forward and not worry about it now. Um, and if I hit a time where I don't feel like singing, that's okay too. That's part of the process. And I know I'll come out on the other side and there'll be new songs.
Yeah.
So I'm just
So
letting it flow.
so well said. I really appreciate you saying that because I do think that it's part of the process. I think sometimes our lives breaking is part of the process. I think sometimes our lives healing, it's all part of the process. And it all puts us in a unique position if we accept those things instead of trying to lock ourselves away from them, of being able to receive the information that we need in order to create, you know?
Absolutely. I don't know if you ever watch things like AGT or The Voice. We've gotten into them
A little bit.
because sometimes they have some really good advice. Another one is that's really good is Songland when
Yeah.
that was running. Um, so many of the stories that people tell, I when I was young, I played the guitar and I sang and I wrote songs. And then I had a family. I set the guitar down. I didn't pick it up, but then we had 5 babies, and all of a sudden here I am. Those sort of things. I walked away from it. I was a firefighter. I was a butcher. I was a whatever. I was into drugs. And then coming back, I picked it back up and coming back into life and realizing that I needed to do this. And the music is so much more there than it was before. Fallow times is really, really, really important, and not something to feel guilty over. It's part of the process. It's part of becoming real. Velveteen Rabbit. Okay, it's
Yes.
a
Yes.
Velveteen Rabbit.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, it's so often those times look like you're doing nothing to everybody and to yourself, but you're really doing some of the most important work that you'll do in your life. And
Amen.
yeah, it definitely took me a while to figure that out. I think though the next fallow time, I won't. I I hope. I hope that's a good way of putting it. I hope that I have the wherewithal to keep playing and singing through it, even if it's just the same song every day, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that that is a unique action. It's a prayer for me. My
Yep.
music is a prayer. My music is a spell. My music is ritual. My
Yes.
just sitting down with the guitar is personal ritual and a way of connecting. Even if I have nothing to say, don't know what to say, don't know how it will come out. If I have to sit there and strum because I feel sad and strum an E minor chord for an hour, I think that that at least helps me feel connected. You know what I'm saying?
I've done that. I've done that. Although it's usually A minor for me or G minor.
Well, it's D minor for me because my guitar's tuned down a whole step and I'm playing an E minor. But you know, oh well, you know what I'm talking about. Oh
Yep.
my gosh, oh my gosh,
Yep.
that is so crazy.
That. I mean, I remember doing that when I was real little, and uh, I went through some bullying at school because I was the littlest, always the littlest in class, and a little bit of a nerd, like to read instead of go out and do a lot of physical stuff. But I would be so twisted up over stuff at school, and I couldn't communicate it to my folks at home. They didn't want to hear it. I just sit down at the piano, and I would just let my fingers go, and it would be minors and minors and minors with an occasional major in there, but I would just I just arpeggios and little bitty runs, and and I spoke through that music. And when I got up from the piano, it was like I had shared something that needed to be shared, and I didn't have to carry it all alone anymore. That was the
Yes,
feeling that somehow there was somebody on the other side that I couldn't see that heard it and understood.
yes,
And that's so it's valid. It's because there is somebody on the other side that sees and understands.
right. That is you you say all of this so well. It's so well framed. I appreciate that more than you know because at times I have struggled for I've struggled to actually define the process, you know, because it can be so messy. And sometimes it's just, you know, somebody says, "How do you write songs?" I'm like, they happen.
Yeah.
You know, and there is a process, but watching it and following it really takes a lifetime for you to start to recognize what's happening when, you know. It's you know, people that write how to's and go, here are the 10 steps to write a hit song, or here are the 10 steps to, you know, do, you know, create this art piece or whatever. And I'm like, I'm so glad you broke that down because now I kind of understand what the hell I've been doing.
Right.
Because sometimes I just do what comes naturally
Yep.
in the flow of it. And so it
Yep.
helps to have technical information, you
Yeah.
know, because I want to make my stuff better. You know, I
Right.
don't want to
That's what
just
the technical information is for.
that's what it's all for. Oh my gosh. So what project are you working on right now? I know you're recording for a new
Yeah.
CD.
Right. Right now I've got all the tracks recorded for Enchantica. And
Oh,
these are the songs that I've been given for Enchantica that started with a year ago. And so I've got chants for all the different elements. I've got chants, um, chant and songs. It's not just chants, but sometimes they're so celebratory, like Gaia Mama Gaia,
oh
and
yeah.
it's just people love that because it's a bouncy sort of rhythm sort of thing. Sometimes they've come from because I'll hang around after an hour of doing Enchantica online. I'll say, if you've got any suggestions or requests or whatever, I'll hang around for a few minutes, do a few more songs. And there was this one girl, she said, how about the Green Man? I love the Green Man. Do you have any Green Man songs? Well, I didn't really. So I said, I don't, but I sang something. It sort of had something to do with that. Um, and then in the middle of the night, that night, my mind woke me up to come the Green Man, stay not apart. Come the Green Man, come dance in our hearts. So that happened. And Sue Balashak of Primal Rhythm and Burning Sage has given me a fantastic drum track on that.
Oh,
And so many of the songs came out of the pandemic. Mother's eyes are watching us, and mother's arms hold us, and mother's voice says not to fear. Mother's heart will hold us. And the deepest dark, Sisters of the Moon, Sisters of the Moon, with our full moon coming now, that came out the full moon in April last year, because I realized that even sitting in my room, or if I'm sitting alone in the woods, or I'm together with somebody, that this connection we have, especially during the full moon, we don't have to necessarily be right where we can touch each other. We just reach out, and we've got that spiritual connection. So the Sisters of the Moon, Dave the Bard, you know Dave.
Yeah.
For summer solstice last year, he posted kind of a poignant sort of thing, because his druid group couldn't meet at solstice like they normally do. And he posted, "When shall we all meet again, heart to heart and hand to hand?"
Yeah.
And I started hearing music.
I bet you did.
So I wrote it down, and the verses kind of grew, and it was really cool, because then gods and goddesses sort of came in for the last verse. So talking about them helping to heal and helping the healers. And I wasn't sure what to call it. Working title was the viral chant. And so I said, I mentioned that in Enchantica when I sang it, and people are going, "Oh no, that's the right title. That's the one it should be." So it's the viral chant.
I love it.
It just things like that. She walks in wisdom, and many days. There's or remember, there's a beautiful meme out in the pagan spiritual world. Remember, child, that you are air. Remember, child, that you are water. Remember, child, that you are. Remember that you are the elements. And that turned into this beautiful chant about connecting yourself personally with the elements, and then remembering that you are spirit as well, and to pull all of those together. And somebody actually requested that this last week, because they were feeling very pulled apart and disconnected because of deaths in the family and stuff happening in their life. And he said, "I know you did a song that was about remembering," and I went, there it is. And then, as I said before, sometimes I'll be fed new songs. This one hit me in the back of the head week before last, and it started out being called the Power Song, and I wasn't quite sure about it, but because it started out almost seeming like an angry chick song, and I don't do angry chick, I really don't. But then I started playing it, and I figured that there was some reason for Mother to have given me this. And then I realized it was actually a healing song. And the point of the song is that as we go through life, it's part of the natural process that we encounter sadnesses, we encounter angers, we encounter unpleasant situations, and we hang on to part of that. And I realized that the things that I was hanging on to, I'd left part of my power back there. I let my mom and dad hold part of my power that I still resented to this day, binding them and me to a bad situation.
Wow.
And so this, you will not tell me that I'm not who I am. You will not tell me I'm not true. You will not take what I do not freely give. I take my power back from you, thus releasing you and releasing me.
That's so powerful. Oh my
And
gosh.
honestly, that hit me full blown in the back of the head. And I mean, I had to play it close to 100 times before I could sing it without breaking down, you know. But
That moment.
it was a healing process for me.
Right, right, right.
It went out to others.
Do you get that thing when I write something and I've started feeling it a little bit in the recording process too, but when I'm in songwriting, which is my core, right? That's my core creative place. When I write a song, whether it's happy, whether it's sad, no matter what the emotion of the song presents, when I hit the right tone for the whole song, when it is absolutely like this is going to be a thing, I get choked up.
Yes.
I get
Yep.
choked up even if it's a funny, stupid, silly song.
Right.
That's like my north star. That tells me this is a true thing that you're writing.
Yep.
And so you need to pursue this with all of your focus.
Yes.
Um that that is such a bizarre thing, and it's so hard to describe to somebody. But, if especially like when I was writing Battle for the Moon, because that took me a couple of days to put all of the words together. And it's about this thing that happens to Nine Toes the Bard, this 14th, 15th century Welsh bard from another timeline that's in my head, right? I write Battle for the Moon. It took me a couple of days, and I wept for like 3, 4 days. I mean, every time I sat down with the pen, I was like, I just cried while I was writing. I'm writing through my tears, and I knew the whole time that that was going to be one of the most powerful things that I could possibly write in that moment, and that nothing else mattered until I had that
Right.
thing together, you know?
Yep. And
Um,
it is so powerful that comes through when you sing it. And
wow.
it's some songs that have an origin like that, I think, for want of a better term, cast their own circle of power.
Oh, yes.
Because the first time I heard you sing that song, it was a time out of time and a space out of space.
Yeah.
And we were the only things that existed.
Yeah.
And there were some songs that I have written that have that same feeling. And I go
Absolutely.
away. I go
Yeah.
away. Um, um, I actually ask people if I played it okay because I don't know.
Right, right.
I'm just trusting the muse to take over after that, because that's all I can do. She's using me as her tool, as her vessel, and that's all I can do. And I'm good with that. I'm
Yeah.
good with that. And then Battle for the Moon is one of those.
That's really cool.
Hail the
Yeah,
sun.
it's
Oh,
I know. I'm so excited to that song is at the 95% mixed stage. So I'm leaving it alone for a while until I get the rest of the songs in, but I'm excited. So when is Enchanta coming out, the CD?
I am not sure.
Okay.
Um, this is one of those that has been fraught with challenges, shall we say? Because I started recording it, and then I had a friend come in that was going to play cello for me,
Yeah.
and that morning she came in the afternoon. That morning, um, Windows decided to update. And when Windows decided to, there was a really, really big, messy update, and it killed all of the Yamaha drivers on my machine and would
Mm.
not let me reload them. It would not recognize them. And I found
Oh.
out later that because of the way Yamaha downloads went, it saw it as a malware DLL. So I had to go out. I had to apologize to her, and I had to go out. And I remember reading that you liked your Scarlett, so I went out and got a Scarlett, and
Yay.
that and at that point, Adobe Audition decided it didn't want to run anymore.
Oh,
It wasn't the newest version. So I learned Cakewalk very quickly,
oh,
which worked quite
congratulations.
well.
Good.
So I did a lot. I recorded several things on Cakewalk. And then thanks to my husband, I now have the full professional version of Audition.
Awesome.
But now I've got to migrate all of the stuff from Cakewalk over to Audition so that they're all mixed and mastered the same.
Yes.
So they're all
Oh,
recorded now. I just have to.
it's been a year for this old broad to figure out all the technology. So
Oh,
my heart goes out to you because I've had some of the same issues. I was able, actually, this last Windows update, I woke up one morning. I was not aware that there was going to be a big update, right? And as my computer comes up, it says updating. It didn't even give me an option. It just
right.
started doing this update. And I
Yep.
went, well, I guess I'll go have my coffee and come back in. So I come back in and I'm just poking around on Facebook. You know, my computer has done its update. I'm not really paying attention. I haven't gone into my music stuff yet. And I'm on Facebook, and Kim Commando, you know, the digital guru, right? This little thing flies by on Facebook from her that says, don't do the update. Whatever you do, don't do the update yet. There's a lot of glitches. And I went, oh, hell.
Uh-huh.
And I opened up my DAW, my digital
Right.
audio workstation, for those of you that are not into that kind of stuff. I opened up my DAW and realized that a whole bunch of my plugins were no longer plugged into anything. I had
Yep.
to do a lot of reconfiguring. I had to re-download some stuff. Fortunately, I actually lost nothing, but it was 2 days of tracking stuff down and putting
Yep.
it back in place because I rely on a lot of instruments within my computer that are from different companies and things other than resident inside my DAW. And so I had to reinstall libraries and make sure, oh my gosh, it was
I
crazy.
know. I know. I know. Yeah.
So I feel you, sister.
Yeah. Well, I've got all of my music files are on an external hard drive.
Yeah.
So they're not going to get eaten by my C drive anymore.
Right. Oh, I have I have a little backup thing right here that gets
Yep. Yep.
backed
Yep.
up every day, but that doesn't
Yep.
help if I'm working on a session and I haven't actually got the final recording.
Right.
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 But you know what? And let me tell you what, the muse gets impatient when we go through times like that. It's like, aren't you done with that yet? Because this is not really being the creative thing. I just want to send you the download, right? And I'm like, yeah, but I'm working on these other downloads, right?
Yep. 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 There's downloads and then there's
And there's
downloads.
downloads, right? Oh my gosh. So, excuse me. So, oh my gosh, I am enjoying so much talking with you. We could do this forever, but I know we probably shouldn't. I know you've got stuff to do. So what's your website where everybody can find all the cool stuff about you?
All right. My website is gingerackley.com.
Okay.
And I have it hosted through Webs, which is now part of Vistaprint.
Okay.
So they're doing upgrades and updates and everything, but gingerackley.com is my main website, and
Beautiful.
I'm looking to put stuff on my calendar and keep stuff updated there. I've got some videos and the lyrics. Apparently, this has now become a thing. Lyrics sheets or lyrics pages never seem to just stay lyrics pages with me. My last CD with the Wee Folk Stomp, the lyrics turned into an Art Deco coloring book.
They did, and it's a wonderful coloring book. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful.
Well, I had so many people ask me about what chords I was using and what progressions and that sort of thing. And I've got the lyrics for all the stuff I do on Enchantica. I've got that on my webpage. But so the lyrics turned into a book with chords and stuff and pictures. So so
Wonderful.
and I thought that was really really cool of her to send me that, because then people can take it out. We can sit at festival and have our little music sessions, and I tell people, please take these chants out and please sing them with other
Yeah.
people, and start your own circles, please. They're supposed to be out there. They're supposed to be healing. They're supposed to be sung. They're supposed to be shared. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to have been able to talk to you and see your face today. I miss people's faces. I really do. And hopefully, closer to fall, we can start seeing each other on the road again.
yep, yep, yep.
I'm still not ready to travel this summer. I'm right on the cusp of 60. I'm 59, which means I'm in the third group that gets shots, and I ain't going anywhere until somebody stuck a needle in my arm
Yep.
over this.
Yeah,
So
we're waiting to hear. We've got a new doctor, and we're waiting to hear when they've got the shots and stuff lined up. I
yeah.
will be I will be actually 69 on Ostera.
So you
So
you should be able to get a
yeah,
shot. So
yeah, and
I hope that you can. I'm telling people this is not about fear. This is about, we travel when we do our job. We travel. We are in gas stations and grocery stores and at festivals, and we never know who we are encountering. And we might just get it and give it to you. And none of us wants to do
yeah,
that.
that's the same mentality for getting the flu shot and the pneumonia shot.
Yep,
It protects me, yes, but more importantly, it protects you.
absolutely.
And that's and I go to I before pandemic, I would go to senior homes. I would go to schools.
Right. None of
It's
that right
easy
now.
to pick up and carry. So, you don't want to take stuff that people don't want.
Yeah.
Um, so we're hoping, I've got a November date that I'm hoping will come through. Um, our Haven contacted me. They're going to try something, but within state guidelines, and they're going to try to arrange things. We'll just see how things go there.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's great.
Little bit by little bit, things will open up, and people will venture out, and it's gonna I think it's gonna be better, because people are going to have more of an awareness, more of a compassion, I hope.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
yeah. So, my beautiful friends, my beautiful creatrix, Ginger Ackley, I will be sure to put your website in the notes for this on the YouTube video. And
Maybe in Chantica too, every Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's the new moon. It's a new moon circle and Chantica page. I can send you a link for that. It's
Yeah, send me that link because I will make sure that I put that link in the notes also.
yeah,
That would be
and
perfect. I know people would
and
love
that
to join in.
the Facebook Live thing is so cool, because even if you can't make it when it happens, you can go back and call the video up and enjoy it later. So
That's so awesome. All right, lady, I need for you to stay well, healthy, safe, you and Donovan both, and the whole
absolutely.
crew around you. Keep making music, keep creating all the things that you create. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing
Oh, and
this.
thank you, Song Sister. Thank you,
You
because
are a love.
love you so much,
Bye.
Tina. Bye.
I
Thank
love you
you.
too.
Bye bye.